Tron TRX Coin. We're going to be talking in this video. I want to talk about a comment that I got on this video that I did when I said Tron will make you rich. I've also done a video, Tron will fail. And I don't know, I may call this Tron will fail part 2 or why Tron may fail. I'm not sure what I'll title it yet. Tron will fail part 2, I guess. We'll see. I'll just think about it when I get done with the video. But this video was about Tron. And I got some of the best commenters in the world, literally. Mikey Underwood often comments on my videos. I really appreciate it. He basically said that he bought some more Tron. Hey, let's talk about what he said here. This isn't what the video is about, but he talked about Tron and he talked about some of the games on Tron. I bought an ETH&a half worth of Tron last week, the same game that Justo made the announcement. Then while I was looking more closely at Tron, I stumbled into the ICO for LEC token. It's a Tron TRC20 token that was having a pre-sale. I bought 20,000 of those. Look into it. The company behind it is the Legacy Game Team. Check this out. And he goes into, the gaming platform, who they are, what they're trying to develop. And I have some concerns with some of a lot of the games on the Tron network right now. But it is fascinating to see that there's a lot of developers taking place. And that's really it's basically because of what I said in this video. It's cheap to transact on Tron. It's extremely lightning fast. That's extremely useful for games, especially gambling type games. But that's where I have some concerns with the project. I mean, they've got to continue to have more use cases. However, I'm not too worried that there won't be more substantial use cases available because they're proven to be able to be so fast, so cheap, and so easy to transact on. But I have this other video down here from Chain Gang Baka. Sorry, I'm not sure how he pronounced that. But by the way, let me just come down here. In it for the memes. I'm thinking this guy's from the Proof of Weak Hands community, which is unfortunate because he showed how much of an idiot he is. This is unbelievable. The guy's pulling predictions out of his ass. Tron is good because Chinese guy is active on Twitter. Clearly, he didn't actually watch the video, at least not the full video, because I responded, I think this comment came out of your ass. I clearly stated in the video, it's the cheapest, fastest blockchain, with the developers promise a lot and has actually been able to deliver so far. But you missed that. It was in the part of the video that you didn't watch. And clearly, listen, he probably just didn't watch the whole video. I get it. You're just cruising around on YouTube. Let's give him a heart. Why not? I want to talk about what Chain Gang said here, because I think this is important. And I told him I was going to make this video. And I appreciate that he said this, because this is, if you saw my previous video, I'll put a card above if you missed it. But in my previous video, I talked about why Tron will fail. And in that video, I talked about the super representative issue and the delegated proof of stake with the super representatives and the problems that it's creating and how it's creating centralized control. And here's what he said here. Hey, Wealth, glad you found a new project that you're passionate about. However, I have to say that you should dig a bit deeper to explain to your followers the pros and cons in order to provide a more in-depth analysis, I believe is what he meant. This is by no means a knock on Tron. In fact, I'll be buying some to take part in whatever Team Justice planned. But there is much to be said about Tron that is definitely not all roses like you make it seem. First off, let's start with the fact that much of Tron's white paper was unfortunately plagiarized. True. You're probably asking, why does this even matter? They have a working product. The reason why I bring this up is because though Justin Sun is definitely a marketing genius, Tron and his dev team have a far ways to go in terms of coding and creating new concepts and ideas that benefit blockchain technology. In fact, Tron and its virtual machine is an exact copy of the Ethereum virtual machine with some consensus tweaks. Tron runs a delegated proof-of-stake consensus model that allows for speedy transactions that everyone loves. However, this is at a cost of security and decentralization. However, that's not the main issue, as many blockchains are starting to use a delegated proof-of-stake after EOS implemented it. The main problem is that Tron can only really succeed, in my opinion, if Ethereum succeeds, as they are not original or unique enough to survive on their own. Really, they just implement whatever Ethereum implements with a few tweaks. In other words, they're just piggyback off of ETH, even going as far as to offer straight up money for devs to switch from ETH to Tron. Right now it's working in their favor because Ethereum is so slow to progress, But what happens when Ethereum upgrades and is even faster than Tron? Question mark. Then what do they have to stand on? Like I said, their marketing is great, but we'll have to wait and see. I guess we can all make money in the meantime, hopefully. Keep up the good work. Hey, I appreciate this comment. I appreciate all the comments on my videos, and I oftentimes respond. Even if a comment's negative, I try to respond in a way, I try to just respond in a way that isn't personal. I did call this guy an idiot. I shouldn't have done that because he's probably not an idiot. He just, like all of us, he just cruised through and quickly made a comment. He clearly skipped ahead of my video. But to address Chain Gang here, listen, he's absolutely right in everything he said. I knew they had plagiarized or they had been accused of plagiarizing the white paper. Now the CEO is Justin Sun. Oh, look at that, super active on Twitter. The CEO, Justin Sun, he claimed that what happened was volunteers translated from, basically, I guess, Chinese to English, and the volunteers, are the ones who did the plagiarizing and they didn't do a good translation, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe he's right, maybe he's not. Who knows? And I don't want to say who cares, but what does matter is that they have a working product. I do agree. I do think that's the most important thing. Now, if they blatantly plagiarize, and that's sad, and it shows a moral, ethical issue, and it's worth being aware of. I mean, I don't want to. I want to be cautious of people who have a tendency to have moral, ethical issues. I want to be a good person. I want to have good ethics and good morals, and I want to follow people, work with people, support projects of people that are moral and ethical. However, the white paper alone does not determine anything yet. He basically says that Tron is essentially a copy of Ethereum. And he's exactly right from all the research that I've done so far. However, and I have to, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me just say this. Here's the thing, though. He says what's going to happen when Ethereum catches up with Tron. That remains to be seen. Unfortunately, Ethereum is moving at the speed of molasses right now. They can't even do 100 transactions per second, while Tron is sporting 2,000 transactions and potentially 10,000 transactions per second. That's extremely useful to be able to scale to that speed. Now, yes, there are issues. That's part of the super representatives that I covered in my previous video. Those are part of the issues, and we'll have to see how the ecosystem forms and what eventually happens. He says that, and I agree with this. He says that the Justin Sun is a marketing genius. He is, and I think that can't be understated. It actually doesn't matter how great the technology is if nobody uses it. It is not true, build the technology and they will come. That's not true. The word has to get out, and people don't like this. I have a marketing background. I have been responsible for building and growing entire marketing campaigns. I have watched great products die because there was no good marketing. And I have watched subpar products really excel because of good marketing. And I'll tell you an example of this. I can tell you one example in the cigar industry. I actually, a cigar owner used to, I almost gave you the name. I don't want to give you the name. So there's a cigar manufacturer out there who used to manufacture cigars for their company, and he manufactured cigars for another company. This other company, I'll tell you the name, is Tron Cigars. Tron Cigars used to manufacture their cigars. They manufactured all the cigars for a company called CAO. And if anyone's a cigar smoker, then you're very familiar with CAO for sure. CAO, all the way up until a few years ago, they had a cigar called the Vision. Up until then, all of the cigars were made actually by Tron. CAO didn't make any of their own cigars. But CAO spent a tremendous amount of money on marketing. They were in all the magazines, the websites. They had the influencer marketing back before anybody even called it influencer marketing, and they were exploding. And the owner of Tron Cigars, he said someone asked him one time, "Why do you make all the good cigars for CAO, but all your cigars taste like shit?" And he said, "We don't make shit cigars for ourselves. That's not what happens." He said, "What we learned as a company is we have always undervalued our advertising budget. And it's because CAO had a monster advertising budget that they exploded onto the scene as this new cigar company at the time, and they were selling Tron cigars. Yet Tron cigars, which were excellent cigars, by the way, but were very much unknown because there was no marketing behind them. Marketing makes or breaks everything, and it doesn't have to be TV marketing. It doesn't have to be one type of marketing or another. And marketing can be grassroots. I mean, there is community marketing that exists. The communities developing, but there has to be a public awareness, and there's some sort of marketing that takes place in order for that to happen. So, if nothing else, Tron may not make it in the long run. Yes, I've told you before I'm investing in Tron, but it's part of the risk that we take. They might not make it. And if they don't make it, it's okay. They're probably going to be extremely positive for the ecosystem. I mean, Tron's goal is to be decentralized, and they have, all these dApps that are coming out with. And even right now, in order for them to survive, they're going to have to create more dApps than just gambling dApps, or the developers are going to have to create more than just gambling dApps. Even they say, if you look at statistics over here, you'll see, come down here, and there's not a lot, by the way. Total of 17 dApps so far on this website, tron.app. There's a total of not 17, but 17 is the biggest category, and that's gambling. I can tell you most of the games are also gambling in nature. The overwhelming majority of the active users are, in the gambling section. And again, most of the games are considered gambling as well if you really look at them. However, the transactions, again, mostly in the gambling section. But this isn't all bad. I mean, it's created a tremendous amount of a test phase for Tron. Testing their speed, testing their efficiency, etc. Because gambling apps and dApps have a lot of microtransactions that occur. So that's not a bad thing. But ultimately, there's got to be greater use cases. Now, what's interesting is Team Just, which you heard Chain Gang talking about in his comment. Team Just, they're coming out with a project called Ghosted on the Tron network. And I don't know if that's coming out tomorrow. There's been speculation that it's tomorrow. There's been speculation that it's in January. I don't know. I'm waiting. The main reason I started looking at Tron is because of Team Just and the proof of weak hands concept, and wanting to see what they're going to bring to the Tron network, because it could be extraordinary. I mean, it has the potential to be extraordinary. However, even the P3D ecosystem and the ERC20 games, so far most of them have some sort of gambling type component. And the problem with that is it's just not I don't think it's a sustainable long-term use case. Now, when it comes to games, they're going to have to create a game for the sake of playing the game. There's got to be something more to it than just what ends up happening in all these Tron dApps, let me come here. All these Tron dApps, what ends up happening is they create these games, and there's basically either it's outright gambling like this, Tron Dice or something, or they create these games that end up being kind of a Tron Block, looks like it could be one of them. They create these games where it ends up being like there's kind of an inflation that occurs. It's like a mining type simulator thing that exists, and then at some point inflation takes place, and the price goes up. It looks like people are making money, maybe people are, but then there's so much inflation and so much creation of the tokens that the price drops. And then people end up losing. I mean, that's essentially all the games right now are sheerly profit driven. And I think that we're going to see something for the sake of games. The closest thing that I've seen in this space, in the cryptocurrency space, is something like HDX20. HDX20 is awesome. And their games, this game right here, Torpedo Launch, it has a real potential. It's fun to play. And you're not just competing. They do use cryptocurrency asset. There's kind of like an earning aspect to it, but you're actually, and this is on the Ethereum blockchain, by the way, it's the ERC20 token, but you actually interact with the game and you can get a high score, and it's actually a lot of fun, and you can earn as well. Now, I don't think Torpedo Launch is all the way there, but I think it's one of the closest games that I've seen that's literally, it's almost just fun enough just to play the game. And I say almost because it's extremely basic. But I think they're headed in the right direction. And I got to tell you, if you don't know about HDX20, I'll put a link down below. It's basically like Ethereum savings account. There's a 4% fee for every buy, sell, for every buy and every sell. But that 4% fee gets distributed in token values. Meaning as people sell, what happens is 4% of that fee gets distributed and it goes towards the value of your tokens you're holding. So you literally never lose. It's like the token value never, ever, 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 ever goes down. So it's right here. You buy it, its value will increase. Sell it, the value will increase. So it's literally like an Ethereum savings account. And like I currently have 3.4 tokens right now. And I'll put a link down below, and I do get like 1% or something. I'm not sure what it is if you purchase through my link. But this is awesome. Like it just keeps the price of Ethereum is going up, but the price of the HDX20 in Ethereum value never ever goes down. Here's my total HDX20 tokens, and that's fascinating in its own right. But it's the gaming portion that I really wanted to draw your attention to. They've got to, Tron's going to have to, and Tron can do it, and maybe Team Just is about to do it. I don't know what Ghosted is. I don't know if that's a game or if it's some sort of an application. But that's what the Tron ecosystem is going to ultimately need. They're going to need some sort of game or some sort of application. Same thing with the ERC20 dApp space. They need to have some sort of game, something in the ecosystem that's more utilitarian. That's what I'm going to say, utilitarian. And I agree with everything that Chain Gang is saying here. We'll just have to wait and see. I think if nothing else, Tron's going to put pressure. It's a free market sort of thing. They're going to put pressure on projects like Ethereum, even EOS. They're a competitor. So they've got the best marketing machine. They got nothing new other than marketing. Nothing new under the sun, really, other than speed and efficiency through what may be an inferior, delegated proof of stake. We'll just have to wait and see. It's extremely risky, but it has a lot of potential at the same time, like a lot of potential, which is why, you would invest in this space because it could be lucrative, but that lucrative potential doesn't come out without a tremendous amount of risk. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, one thing that I do like about a lot of these tokens and these dApps is there's a dividend earning component to them, and that's fascinating. You know my channel, I'm all about passive income. Now, I'm going to include this video into a series that I'm creating on Tron TRX Coin. That's what I'm calling the playlist. So you can watch, if you haven't seen my other two videos, you can definitely watch that playlist as well. Also on my channel, on the end of the screen right now, you should be seeing a link to my crypto passive income strategy. And that's all about earning passive crypto income. You can go ahead and start watching that playlist as well. It's a phenomenal playlist. No matter what the market's doing, going up, going down, you can be making passive cryptocurrency every single day. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about this video. I look forward to reading them and interacting with you. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day.